Guys, I got a brand new video for you today, and this is the new Zhiyun Weebill 3S. All right, so the plan for this video is to shoot a cinematic sequence about this watch, and it has old school Porsche 911 vibes. And so I also tracked down an old school Porsche 911. So let's shoot. Location is everything on this type of shoot, and I wanted somewhere industrial looking with lots of concrete. The only thing is I'd really hoped for a nice golden hour sun to cut through, but unfortunately it was overcast. The setup I'm rocking on the Weebill 3S is the Sony a7S III with a 24-70 G master. I also had the transmount image transmission system mounted to the bottom because I was using that to control the gimbal on the car-to-car shots. And since that was already on it, I left it because it was already balanced, but I'll talk more about that later. There's no real storyline to this video, it's more just about the visuals, working with music, and using this gimbal to kind of create this really cool scene. So the Weebill 3S has a similar design to the Weebill 3, and that's good because I actually like the design of the Weebill 3. This gimbal is a little bit more refined and it can still handle the same amount of weight, so it's definitely going to handle an a7S III with the 24-70, which I don't have on here right now because I'm using it to shoot this video, but I do have an a7 IV on here with the 16-35, and you're not going to have any problems. You can put an image transmission on it as well as a follow focus, and it's going to handle it. I was told by Zhiyun that this does have new, smoother algorithms in it for stabilization. I have to agree. Right out of the box, I dropped the camera in, got it pretty close to balance, turned it on, and it worked perfect. And you can obviously dial it in through the app or right from the gimbal, but straight out of the box settings, it was pretty good. We don't have a car rig, but what I'm gonna do is mount the gimbal to the tripod and kind of lean it out the back of the tailgate, sandbag it. We got a bunch of sandbags here, and then I'll throw some ratchet straps on it, and then we can do some car-to-car stuff. So usually when shooting car-to-car videos, there's a whole car rig that mounts off the car, and then you mount your gimbal off that. But we're gonna go super low budget with this, and it's still gonna work really well. The other cool thing is that the image transmission system with the ZY Play app is really nice. You get a nice clean HDMI feed from your camera to the app, and you also get full gimbal control, so you get virtual joysticks, and you can change any other gimbal setting as well from there. But I've made videos on this in the past covering the ZY Play app, so I'm not going to go into detail. Mission successful. The camera held up, no issues, and this little rig here was good. So there's two big differences between the Weebill 3S and the Weebill 3. And the first one I want to focus on is the ability to go from horizontal to vertical. And you can do that with the new base plate. You can slide the camera off, flip it around, and slide it back on vertical. And that's pretty good because a lot of people are starting to shoot vertical video now. And if you want to be able to do it quickly, you can do that with this gimbal. Otherwise, you'd have to have like an L bracket or a whole cage to flip it around and then swap the base plate over. But with this, you can leave the base plate on and just slide it back on. And the second main change has to do with the bottom of the gimbal and the new sling grip. This is pretty dope. It can actually be removed via a quick release plate. You can just take it off, and it actually makes the gimbal super compact. You can pop it back on when you need it. And just like on the Weebill 3, it still has a telescopic handle here, so you can get a little bit more leverage when you're doing underslung stuff. And that's nice to see. But what's really cool is they've actually added the ability to swivel it out. So you can now adjust it out like this, and now you kind of have like a dual handle setup. The wrist rest also has an adjustment knob that allows you to set the angle that feels most ergonomic depending on how you're holding the gimbal. And of course, it has a pretty familiar button layout with the exception of the power button being moved back up to the top with the rest of the buttons. As for the menu and options, you have all the same modes and features as well as Bluetooth control for trigger and record. And just like the Weebill 3, it still has that bicolor light on the front in case you find yourself needing more light. And speaking of light, I wanted to shoot some macro close-up detail shots of the watch, so I set up a little spot to do that, and I used Zhiyun's Molus X100 light along with their new Bowen's lantern, and it looked really awesome, and I was pretty happy with how that looked. And I also used the gimbal as a jib, and I've done this before to do overhead shots, and it looks really cool, especially with the macro lens. Okay, so I think I've showed you everything you need to know about this gimbal, and I've kind of teased some of the footage from it. So let's jump into the sequence we shot. So over the years, I've reviewed almost every Zhiyun gimbal now, and whoa, that's a 30-foot drop. And they're so good now that you basically can get your camera on, do a quick balance, auto calibration, and they're ready to go. And that's what you want. You really don't want to be messing around with your gimbals because it can waste a lot of time, and that can deter you from wanting to use a gimbal. And the cool thing with this new system and the new algorithms is that I was able to balance my 24-70 when we had it on the car rig set at 35 millimeters, and I was still able to just zoom it to 70, and you know how long that lens gets, and it was able to actually handle that without me having to rebalance. Their new carry duffel bag backpack case that they have for this gimbal is kind of interesting. That's something new from them. Typically they have kind of like a foam case, and I don't think that that comes in the standard kit. I think that only comes in the combo kit, but it's pretty cool. You can throw the gimbal in straight up the way it is, and in the bottom there's a huge storage area, and what I think the intention for that is you could put your camera in there if you wanted to, but I think what their intention for that is to put one of their new lights in there, so the G60 or the X100 light. And so that's pretty cool that you could actually do that as well. And I don't really have much else to talk about. I'll have links to everything in the description. Thanks to Zhiyun for sponsoring this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked this video, give it a thumbs down twice. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one.